Morning, everybody. So today we're actually going to do the 2019 dividend breakdown and portfolio breakdown and a small look ahead to 2020. I don't want to talk too much about 2020. I did that in previous videos. And what I basically want to do today is look at all the dividends I've got to in 2019, the YouTube money I got in 2019. I didn't get to Shopify or anything like that. I have some Shopify income, but we're not going to talk about anything about that. And what the actual portfolio size is looking like now. And yeah, that's basically it. Let's get right into it. So overall, the portfolio value is around 391,000 or so, although the market is open today, so it might fluctuate a little bit and it might go up, go down a little bit, but don't expect it to change too much. So we're just shy of $400,000 under management, which is pretty awesome. Have some visions about what I potentially might do with this 401k aspect of things. Obviously, 400,000 at 28 years old. Uh, you don't necessarily need to go all the way to 65 before you start actually making some really rash, financial decisions. So basically, you have 126,000 while it's, sitting in a fund, could be actively working, whether that's in real estate, whether that's, in individual securities. And basically we always talk about the $264,000 that we talk about in the dividend aspect of the portfolio, and that's mostly what we're going to be talking about today. I'm looking about how I can make this 126 or so $1,000 actually work in the portfolio as well. It kind of just sits there as a dead weight at the moment, and we don't really have clear insight as to what is going on within the 401k. So actually looking into dividend portfolio value breakdown, you can see energy obviously still the front runner of everything, followed by real estate and financials as well. Those hold up most of the pie, 50% of the value, just under 60% in terms of actual dividend income, and then the rest is separated into all the remaining sectors. Really happy with where the portfolio is now. I think what I'm trying to do is keep the energy and finance and real estate portion of the value of the portfolio slightly down, looking at all their potential ways I can do some real estate outside of the stock market, which is something that I've been looking at for quite some time, but I've never made that dive into. It's something that I might utilize this 5% cash position, and I'm also going to continue to grow the cash position as well. Actually, it reminds me I probably have a paycheck that I can move over into my cash position in my personal savings, but that's a different story for a different day. Dividend yield going forward is about 4.32%. Yield on cost about 5%. And the forward income, this is not what I made in 2019, but the forward income is looking at just under $11,450, $954 monthly. But like I said, that doesn't include 401k. So if I were to say use this as a 2% yield or what have you, I mean that this value would drastically increase, and that's almost something that I see more beneficial for me. But more to come on that in 2020 once I make a final decision. Now what I want to talk about is actually going into the dividends that I received in 2019 and what stock paid me the most. I still don't have the, I guess, money market numbers that I get today, but it's, you know, zero, like 30 cents or a dollar. I mean, it's not much. I don't keep a lot of cash within the portfolio outside of my Amex personal savings account. So these numbers in like my individual brokerage account be very small. So hopefully I'm zooming in at this point for you guys, and we'll kind of walk through what actually paid me the most in terms of dividends here. But we're just looking at December-ish dividends, and we're also looking at the company ticker symbols here in column 1. So $9 from interest from the money market account here. AbbVie paid me $242 this year. BlackRock paid me $60, which is pretty wild because it was a brand new position this year. Bryn Mawr Trust paid me $75. Bank of Nova Scotia paid me $268. BP paid me $581. $330 for BPMP. So these combined, just over 900 bucks, which is pretty wild. Caterpillar paid me 39 bucks. Chesapeake paid me $0 because it doesn't pay a dividend. CQP paid me 300 bucks. Google paid me nothing because they don't pay a dividend yet either. Let me get rid of this bad boy. Icon Enterprise paid me 61 bucks. Johnson & Johnson paid me 92. Kinder Morgan paid me $113, which is pretty wild. Cosmos Energies ended up paying me 45 bucks, which I reinvested all those dividends. So at a share price of $5 or $6, it's purchased me a decent amount of invested shares. Main Street Capital up 360 bucks, and I reinvest those dividends as well, and actually got that special dividend, getting me a normal monthly of about 28 bucks, and then the special dividends in July and December get me 62 bucks, or just over 60 bucks. So I think they're going to try to get away with these special dividends and more so make them more steady monthly dividends. So expect that these monthly dividends will increase and the special dividend will be partially offset by that. So they're not going to go down per se in terms of total annual revenue or annual dividends, but what they're going to do is slowly decrease to 62 and maybe make this 35, 36, and this will be 35, 36 as well. So I think it'll happen over time. It won't happen immediately, but what they're trying to do is have a constant run rate, because when you look at the dividend from Main Street Capital, it doesn't include these special dividend payments. And so while the yield might be 5-6%, in actuality it's another 1 or 2% based off these special dividend payments, which aren't really counted. Excuse me. Which aren't really counted in the actual dividend payments under like Yahoo Finance, Google Finance, and stuff like that. So it artificially deflates the yield. 3M paid me about 113 bucks, which is pretty awesome. MO Altria Group paid me $169, $135 for Realty Income Corp, $203 for Pepsi. Philip 66 paid me 150 bucks, which is pretty cool. Royal Dutch Shell paid me $274. This is going to go down next year just based off the fact that I sold partially some of the shares just to fund other things. RDSA, I sold out of those shares as well. That paid me $6, but that was in the first quarter. Don't expect anything else from RDSA going forward. Seadrill Partners paid me 13 bucks this year, but we're down also because of the dividend cut. So expect like $1 or $2 every single quarter. So maybe this goes down to $4 next year if the company doesn't go bankrupt. Square does not pay a dividend, so nothing from them. 176 bucks from Stag Industrial, which is pretty cool. I remember initially starting in this company, it was paying me 11 bucks a month. So now that it's up to 15, awesome. And not only is it up to 15, but hopefully over the next year or so it'll continue to increase due to reinvestment and also due to dividend raises. So we'll see what happens with that. 126 bucks from a Starwood Property Trust, 441 bucks from AT&T, $0 from US Bank because I just invested in it. Verizon 259 bucks and Wells Fargo 419 bucks. That was good for just under another 10 shares from Wells Fargo. So I think it got me like another 7-8 shares, which considering each share pays about $2. I mean, you start adding it up, it's 14-16 bucks, and you start adding up for all these other companies as well. Starts adding up pretty quickly how much you can actually increase your income just by reinvesting dividends. Going into the YouTube Moolah portfolio aspect of things, we have SPACs, IJR, ITOT, IVV. Very small amount coming from the YouTube Moolah portfolio. $3 from Money Market, $2 from small cap S&P 500, $2 from the Total Stock Market Fund, and $33 from just a regular S&P 500, which is pretty cool. 34 bucks in total coming from my my money market for my Roth IRA. I think that was because I held a lot of cash in the first couple months of the year, waiting to actually put it into actual stocks and individual securities. And then once that happened, I really was getting a couple cents every quarter, nothing too much, nothing about 50 cents. BHP paid me a crap ton this year, just based off the fact that special dividend here in January, 258 bucks, and then it kind of regulated itself back in March and September timeframe. But don't expect the dividend to go down or to go up for BHP. It might stay in the $400 to $450 a year range. But this is inflated because obviously that special dividend. So expect BHP's value to kind of go down next year in terms of dividend income. But I mean, just thinking about it, I invested about $2,000 into BHP. I want to say in mid to late 2015 timeframe, and that $2,000 just this year alone has yielded me $615. So that's way over 25% in terms of how much I've gotten in terms of yield on cost for this year, but expect it to kind of go down to the 20% range, maybe between the 15 to 20% range going forward, which is pretty astonishing if you think about it that way. The returns that I've gotten from BHP just since I invested it in 2015 have been phenomenal, probably the best or one of the best in the portfolio. Then you have Cyrus One that paid me $141, Disney, which paid me $89, Icon Enterprise that paid me $166, Main Street Capital, which paid me $256. This will go up because I invested in it mid-year in June-ish timeframe, May-June timeframe. So expect this to almost double comparatively to this year's payments. So this should probably be in the 450 to 500 range going forward next year. And I'm reinvesting these, so that's pretty crazy as well. You start getting to the fact where each share is about 40 bucks. So have about just from this half year, have purchased another 5, 6 shares. Expect me to get another, I guess, 10, 12 shares next year because of the fact that we're doubling the amount of runtime that we get throughout the year. So we'll have an additional 5, 6 months worth of dividend payments. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with that. Really excited to what happens with Main Street Capital. Philip Morris up to 294 bucks run rate, which is pretty cool. Reinvesting those dividends as well. South 32 didn't pay too much, $2 in terms of dividends. Verizon paid me $82 this year, which is cool. That's almost enough for a regular phone bill for me. That combined with what's in my individual brokerage account probably gets me 2 months or so. But of course, now that I'm international, I pay a little bit more, especially when I travel. And I obviously had to lease my phone as well from Apple. So, you know, this is just paying for my normal phone bill. I'm actually going to try to argue to see if I could bring that down slightly because I know some people that are paying almost half what I pay. WP Carey, 306 bucks for the year, which is pretty phenomenal as well. Then I go into my M1 Finance. I only have 1/4's worth of dividend payments for these guys, so expect this to go up next year as well, and we'll kind of touch on that in a few minutes here. But 20 bucks, 25 bucks, and 85 cents for Johnson & Johnson, 3M, and Visa, respectively. Then actually going into the computer shares account, we had a pretty good run rate for this year as well. Nothing too crazy invested except for maybe some Exxon. So you'll see that continue to climb, and I'll kind of touch that in a second. But you have Altria Group, which paid me $82. Water, which is WTR, which is Aqua America. It's a utilities company that provides water in the northeastern and parts of the United States, and also some in the southern parts of the United States. 23 bucks from that. You have Exxon, which you can see that we have been steadily growing the contributions to Exxon. Every time it dips into the 60s, I generally purchase a couple shares. So that's why we're at a $93 run rate per quarter now. So this should bring this up to closer to $300, almost $400 now. So we'll see how that goes in the future. IBM, haven't really touched this position in a while, $34 from them. Keurig Dr. Pepper, $4 from them. Philip Morris again, $90 from them, reinvesting those dividends. Altria Group, $14 from them, just over $1 per month. Then you have Clorox, which is $20 this year. Waste Management, which is just under 12 bucks this year. Then you go into the share owner services, which gets me $21 for Abby, which used to be my computer shares account. Switched that over. General Mills paid me $4. McCormick Company paid me $1. Procter & Gamble paid me about $15. So was actually able to go in and check these now. I actually have the account pretty unlocked now. So that's nice to actually be able to check up on these investments, although they are rather small in comparison to some of the others. Then you have the share value package, which paid me about $752 or so. Fundrise paid me about $43, which is cool. Got the run rate, I believe, up to about $20 a quarter or so in dividends, up to over $2,000 in the Fundrise account now. So hopefully, with about a 4 to 5% yield, and hopefully continues to grow, we'll be able to get ourselves over $80 next year. But we will see. Fingers crossed with that one. So hopefully, we've doubled the amount in the portfolio. So hopefully, we will double, therefore, the yield coming from the portfolio, and not the percentage yield, but the dividend total that's coming from the portfolio. Cardone Capital paid me $281 this year. That was only for 5 out of the 12 months. So the run rate for this is expected to be at $675. Hopefully it continues to go up next year as rents increase, but we will see. Then you have MX, which paid me about $113. This is my parking fund. You can see earlier in the year I was holding a lot more cash just because of bonuses and what have you. So was fortunate to be able to capture some of the interest off of having some cash while I was just trying to decide where I was investing it. And I think part of this was selling my Realty Income Corp position, as well as purchasing my Cardone Capital position. You can see that basically had the $38, then it kind of goes to $1 or $2 every single month, and then you start seeing the Cardone Capital position kind of come in to play. But not everything went into Cardone Capital, so it's not like a 38 goes to 56. It's so there's some other investments that I put in here. I think at one point I was holding $30,000 or $40,000 in the Amex personal savings, but I don't remember exactly the numbers that were in there. And then kind of going for an overview. Oh, actually, let me give the final number here. So just based off of that, we're looking at about just over $8,900 in terms of income from 2019, which is pretty crazy. And we'll get into what I was expecting to get this year based off of previous income goals. So $8,900 is pretty astonishing. Can't complain with that. And then if you combine it with YouTube income, it ends up being a pretty cool number. We'll kind of get into that a little bit as well. Here's the progress. You can kind of see where we got to in 2019, just under this $9,000 mark, the $8,900. And then here's kind of where we're looking at with respect to what I have invested. This is the $11,400, $500. That's for next year, but we haven't fully finished next year, obviously. We'll continue to invest. So hopefully it continues this steeper trend here instead of just meeting it halfway. Hopefully we get to the $14,000 mark here, actually. And we will see once we kind of start getting into 2020 what that kind of looks like. So I blew up and made red all the 2019 payments. So you can see in the individual brokerage account, we made over $5,000 in dividends. YouTube Moulin made about $40 in dividends. But you can see just going from 2019 to 2020, we're expecting to make another $1,700 or so in 2020 from the individual brokerage account. And that will also increase as we go through 2020 and continue to add companies as well. Although there is the possibility of dividend cuts, but I do not anticipate too many of them. Then you have the IRA. This kind of stays and hangs out until I get more money in early 2020 to put into the IRA. So expect tomorrow or the day after to me actually put $6,000 into the IRA and see this number go up in the next couple months or so. You have M1 Finance, which is about $46, but like I said, that was only 1 quarter's dividend payments. You get 4 quarters in a year, so 2020 is looking pretty good, up to 46 to 187, which is awesome. Computer shares, the same, 565 in terms of dividends, but with the investment in Exxon this year, you'll see a little bit increase going from 565 to 680, which is pretty cool. Shareholder services was just dividend reinvestment, so see an increase of about $3 there. Share value package is about the same. Maybe I messed up something here, so maybe it should be $750, but it is what it is. You can see that basically that's going to hold flat until I actually get awarded those shares. So this is kind of just an estimate at the moment. Then you have $750 from the share value package, so that will probably hang out and remain flat. Fundrise, like I said here, we've doubled the amount of capital within Fundrise, so hopefully that will go from about $43 to $90 next year. Cardone Capital also will have 12 out of 12 months rather than the 5 out of 12 months that we had in 2019. So that will increase from $281 to $675, hopefully for that. Personal savings, I've increased my cash position, and this is forward 12 months. So at the moment, we have about 13,000 sitting in the personal savings Amex account. So if I were to maintain that, it'd be about 215 bucks, but this might vary as the year goes on. If I purchase something, if I move things into the actual brokerage accounts, IRAs, what have you, then this number will actually go down. But like I said, that's a relatively small in comparison to say the $8,000 or the $11,000 if you're looking at 2020 at the moment, in terms of what the income is looking like. So actually looking at the totals for the year, $8,930, which is pretty cool. The goal was $8,525. So we've actually beat this goal by over $400, which was pretty awesome. That was a 57% increase, almost 58% increase year over year. So in 2018, we made 56, almost $5,700. We increased 57.7% to 8,930, which is pretty crazy. I was expecting maybe 50%, 55%, which I think is how I came up with this 8,525, and we blew it out of the water. So hoping I continue that trend, hoping I'm be able to keep 57% next year, going in from 2019 to 2020, which means we'll be going from 8,930 to 14,000, which is pretty crazy. But we're already up 28% just based off of getting 4 quarters worth of dividends from things like I invested in this year, like Cardone Capital, Exxon. Being able to get those additional 5-6 months worth of dividend payments, even though it might be only 1 or 2 quarters, really helps out. And so, when you continue to add capital for the year, just year over year, you'll see that, without even going into 2020, without even adding another dollar, I'm already up 28% just from the investments that I did in 2019. So pretty crazy to look at that. And then actually, if you were to include the YouTube moolah, well, I do have an additional day's worth of YouTube income to come by because I'm recording this on the 31st of December. We've made over $300 or so this month in YouTube, partially because I've just been putting out a lot of videos, but obviously the Christmas ads kind of coming through increase the CPM and also the viewership and the ads amount as well. So I think it's, both of those things kind of working together to do that. That has actually pushed the passive income for this month up, or this year, up to between $10,000 and $11,000, almost $10,700, which the actual goal for this year was 710 in terms of dividends. We actually made 744 a month in terms of dividends, and combining that with the income that I got from YouTube, it almost makes it $900 just this year per month. So $900 a month almost, and dividends in 2019. So that's pretty wild. Hoping to continue the trend. I don't have it set up for the following and upcoming years, but I'm hoping that the trend continues. I'm hoping that I'm able to continue to provide you guys the value and educate you guys. So that obviously shows up in the income. Whatever value that I'm providing onto you guys shows up in the income, because obviously you guys will continue to watch the videos. But I look at it not as the income that I get, but the value that I'm generating to you guys continuing to want to watch, learn, educate yourselves on financial independence and my journey, to see how it might relate to your own. So that really wraps up 2019. Pretty astonishing year, pretty excited about it. Although, part of me wishes I did a little bit better, but I beat my goals. And, I did put a lot of effort into making my goals, just like how I have my goals for the next 2 years, 57%, hopefully next year, 50% increase from 2020 to 2021. So it's not like I don't put a lot of effort in and trying to increase it by 50% or so, 57% almost, when the portfolio value is over $400,000 or close to $400,000 now. I mean, that's a pretty drastic increase. That's almost $200,000, if not maybe more, when you increase it 57%. So yeah, we will see how this continues to grow. I'll continue to do these sorts of videos going into 2020. So expect me to be comparing this 11,500 to this 14,000 going forward. 2019 has been a great year, hoping that both things like YouTube and the dividend income continue to grow. I'll be continuing to invest and keep you guys posted on everything. But really hope this video finds you guys great, finds you guys well. And I'd like to thank you guys because the amount of folks that aren't subscribed to me has decreased from about mid 60s to closer to 60%. So 40 to 45% of you are actually subscribed to me, which is actually awesome. But if you aren't and you really like this video and you really like what you see upcoming and some of the other videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really allows you to see the content when it comes out. I generally try to make a video or two every single week for you guys, and then I have some of the live stream stuff, which I might be putting on another channel, but that's something else for a different day, and we will see what ends up happening with that. But like I said, really appreciate you guys continuing to show the support. It really shows up in the bottom line for me. But like I said, I don't care about that number unless you guys are learning something valuable. So I really hope that I'm providing something slightly different than a lot of the other YouTube channels out there for you guys.